is connected. Energy, science, quantum physics. This beautiful practice of being rooted in the frequency of love, light, and unity. We are inviting the collective consciousness to awaken and ascend. Hello. Welcome to Rooted Frequency. I'm your host, Tiffany Haney, and today we're diving into a question I've been getting a lot lately. Is my body turning crystalline? It sounds like a big, mystical concept, but when we start looking at what is happening on the planet right now, in our own bodies and the collective consciousness, it's not as far-fetched as it seems. So today we're going to explore what crystalline embodiment actually means, the signs people are experiencing right now, so we can look at everything going on as we upgrade for New Earth. Whether this is more of a symbolic shift or literal transformation of our body's structure, why our thoughts matter more than ever in this process, and how crystals mirror this shift, helping us stabilize and magnify our own frequency. So I hope you stay with me, because this is an important one. When we talk about crystalline embodiment, we're really talking about a collective upgrade, a shift in frequency that's changing not just individuals, but the planet itself, this planet ascension we've been talking about for so long. We already have talked in previous podcasts about how people are noticing that the Earth feels different. We've also been talking about how the Schumann resonance has been spiking in ways we can't explain. NASA has also reported intense solar flares and geomagnetic storms this year, and many of us feel it in our bodies. Disrupted sleep, dizziness, ringing in the ears, heightened emotions, and time feels different. The days feel like they aren't the same length. Some feel shorter. It seems almost as if reality itself is glitching. And everything keeps getting crazier and crazier. Floods, fires, earthquakes. And even though these things seem devastating, many of us can see that it is Earth's way of recalibrating into a new frequency. You could even argue that this is proof of the Earth moving into this new frequency, this higher dimensional reality. And whether you want to look at things scientifically or spiritually, or both, it's clear that something's happening. So what do we mean when we say our bodies are becoming crystalline? It's like, what is this new word that I'm hearing everywhere that I never knew before? Well, some traditions describe it as moving from a carbon-based biology to a crystalline-based structure. Others see it more of a symbolic metaphor for embodying crystalline consciousness, higher clarity, light, and higher vibration. But the interesting part when I looked back to figure out what is this word, it seems like many cultures have been talking about this. And I know there's so many things that we look at and it's like different language, different words, same concept, right? For example, in Tibetan Buddhism, the monks wrote about the rainbow body. And that is where advanced practitioners could transform their physical form into light, ascending into that higher dimensional space, right? In yogic traditions, there's the diamond body, a perfected state of being. Ancient Egyptians believed the soul would undergo transformations that brought the body closer to light. So whether it's symbolic or literal. This crystalline embodiment isn't a new idea. It's like everything else, a remembering. And if you're listening to this, my guess is you're also experiencing the shift. And make sure to leave me a comment letting me know what that feels like for you. You may be experiencing heightened sensitivity to foods, chemicals, or even technology. You know, you can't have the television on in the background like you used to. Your phone is just not listening to you. It's glitching. I say not listening to me, but, well, the phones are always listening to us, but that's a whole other thing. But as our frequencies raise and we are around these technological tools, they can experience frequency overload, as we can too. There's also the physical sensations, ringing in the ears, heart flutters, feeling a buzzing energy under your skin. Just yesterday, I kept feeling like the ground was moving out from underneath me. And I have experienced that before. And I often wonder if it is my physical form experiencing almost a separation from soul embodiment as we as a collective transcend. Eventually, just like the Buddhist monks thought, leaving behind our physical bodies and becoming light. There's also strange sleep patterns. A lot of waking up at 3:33 or 4:44. Personally, I've been seeing 555 everywhere. These repeating numbers are synchronicities, a universal wake-up call. There's also a collective emotional purging taking place. Deep waves of sadness, overwhelm, joy, anger, or release. And it seems to come out of nowhere. Often this is ancestral clearing. These things are all tied, you guys. There's a reason we talk about these certain themes each week. And then there's our dream space. People everywhere are reporting vivid, symbolic dreams, often with guides or ancestors showing up, maybe not presenting like that, but as strangers, helpful strangers in the dream. We know that dreams serve some sort of purpose, but we don't know exactly what. But they do linger. They do feel profound. Dreams are like a living bridge between our subconscious and the spirit world. Our ancestors are speaking to us louder, helping us align for what's ahead. Because it's important not just to help us as guides, but it's important for our entire ancestral lineage that we make it through this shift. One of the biggest signs of this crystalline shift is how quickly our thoughts are manifesting. Most of us have experienced synchronicities, little signs off and on throughout our lives, things that were like, oh, that's crazy, but they could be explained as a coincidence, right? Like we knew in our hearts it was too much coincidence. There was something more to it, but it could be written off. As we shift, as our bodies change, as this giant collective crystalline shift happens, our thoughts are manifesting quicker and quicker. You think of something and boom, there it is. You think of something that you haven't seen in a while, you know, like when you think you lost something, you're like, oh, I haven't seen those sunglasses in a really long time. And you turn around, boom, they're there. It's like we are taking a bigger role in how we shape our universe, which makes all of these things so important. You want to be conscious of what you are creating. Because while we are individually creating on some level, this individual creation is tethered to the collective. So we are creating together. This is why things kind of feel like they are snowballing. A lot of people have had some rough times of it, a rough go at it as of late. You're worried about bills, suddenly more bills will show up. Suddenly you are overdue on something that you forgot about. But if we flip that and we visualize abundance, unexpected money will flow in. And this isn't just a spiritual concept, it's quantum physics meeting spirituality, bridging with spirituality. The crystalline upgrade magnifies frequency, and because thoughts are frequency, they take form faster than ever. On TikTok and other social media, there's been an uptick in people trying quantum manifestation hacks, claiming instant results. And while we could look at this as a trend, it is evidence of a real shift. Things becoming form at light speed. This is why our inner world matters so much right now. I know I took that break for a while, and I think many of us were kind of in hibernation together. But this is why I am putting out my meditations again. I am going to be attempting to post twice a week, a meditation and an episode. Our inner world matters right now. If we are living in a false frequency, fear, doubt, distraction, we are going to manifest chaos. But if we anchor into truth, love, and sovereignty, we become creators of the new earth. So you may still be wondering, is this crystalline consciousness that she's talking about literal or symbolic? Like, we haven't completely wrapped our minds around that. Are we literally turning into crystals? I believe the answer is both. Science shows us that as our bodies hold more light, DNA can express itself differently. Epigenetics proves that environment, thought, and energy change how genes behave. So who's to say we aren't literally restructuring at a cellular level? I feel like we are. Because as we move from a 3D space, a 3D dimensional consciousness, to a 5D one, our bodies have to be able to hold more light. It would be completely unsafe to take a 3-dimensional being and just throw them into the 5D. So we have to create room. And I believe that our bodies are, this is also why we're feeling so much shedding of these micro shadows that we didn't even know we needed to address, shedding of ancestral things that maybe we don't need to mentally address, but those ancestral things need to move aside to create space for light, so that we can encapsulate enough light, enough frequency to move to the 5D space with ease. But of course, along with that, we have to look at it symbolically too, because crystalline consciousness is about embodying light, embodying truth, and a higher awareness. Both of these things are just as important. It has to work together. It seems like most everything in spirituality is some sort of duality, some sort of duo that we have to address. Which is why we have to be so open-minded to learn new concepts, to be okay to shift our perspective at the last minute when more knowledge comes. Because as we ascend, certain things that were truth will no longer be true. And certain things that were not the fundamental rules of society, of thought, are going to now be the norm, now be the rule. And if we're rigid and fighting that, we're only going to create more blockages and not be able to hold frequency. We're not going to be able to expand, to hold more light, to really turn crystalline. So part of this is really flowing with the change, flowing with roadblocks, flowing with things that your human self perceives as a setback or something negative. And realizing that all of these things are simply clearing. There are more lessons, more things that we need to address and clear and release in order to move on with everyone, with the collective. When we put on that scientific lens to look at spirituality, we can find these scientific proofs that what we are talking about has a foundation, has some roots. Neuroscience, for example, shows that it releases dopamine and serotonin when we give gratitude, which literally shifts our mood and resilience. Gratitude rewires the brain. Our ancestors knew this. They gave thanks to the sun, the harvest, the elements. Not as superstition, but as conscious training. We also now know that ritual calms the nervous system. Anthropologists have long looked at the drumming and chanting and dancing around the fire that ancient civilizations did. This lowers stress hormones. Today we'd call that parasympathetic activation. Same practice, different language. I know we also talked previously about how psychology will use symbolic substitution, like burning a letter to your parents to release trauma that you maybe can't say to their face. Symbolic acts create closure. Closure allows us to release. Ancient fire ceremonies did the same thing. The subconscious doesn't separate symbolic from literal. It feels the release. That's all it needs to know. So whether you call it dopamine, whether you look at it through the vagus nerve or ceremony, the truth is all the same. Ritual, intention, and gratitude transform us. The important thing when we're talking about this is that you don't listen to this podcast and think you're going to do something and then be too busy to do it. I don't believe that there's a set time stamp on when this shift is going to happen, when the end of days is. I believe that there's a timeline for the points of this universe that need to happen, the big moments, but it all depends on us. We have to put in the work and then things will progress. The shift can't stabilize if we treat it like a quick fix. We can't treat it like a 7-day reset or 30-day challenge. We have to start thinking of our spiritual beliefs as something that requires consistency, devotion, and authenticity. Lighting a candle and writing in your journal means nothing if you're just going through the motions, writing your affirmations in your journal, and your brain is somewhere else. But if that flame represents clarity, release, or protection, it becomes a ripple through your lineage. We are so programmed to chase these hollow symbols, these hollow ways to judge if we've succeeded or weigh out our success, our progress. The car you're driving, the brand clothes that you're wearing, the number of followers you have. But ancient ritual reminds us that even the smallest act carries power if we infuse it with intention. Also, along with thinking of this consistency, this ritual we must put into place, we also have to look at community. Community has been coming through strong for a long time now. This crystalline embodiment is not meant to happen in isolation. Certain things with our ascension might have needed to be done by really going inward, and maybe we needed that hibernation moment. But we are at a time now that we need to be more like our ancestors and understand ritual and how it was communal. Fires were lit in circles. Songs were sung together. Chants were done together. Healing was shared. Today, we may confuse followers with connection. But true community is where you've been seen, you're witnessed, you're supported. That is why I push Patreon. There's even a free tier. So you can just go sign up, sort of like a newsletter, and you will get little updates and reminders and extra content. But if you really want to dive into the community, you're going to want to join that tier where you can hop on our monthly calls, our roundtable discussions. Community. Synchronicities are proof that we aren't alone in this. These numbers showing up everywhere, 1111, 555, these are collective awakenings. Even in our mainstream culture, they're talking more and more about astrology and spirituality. More and more celebrity that you hear about practicing breath work and sound healing. It doesn't matter what the celebrities are doing. That's not the point. The point is that these are the people sort of on the stage, and the world reflects back what we are putting out, right? So if we are starting to practice these things more, speak about them more, the world is going to reflect that back to us, seeing it in our movies, seeing it on our television shows, seeing it on social media. And this all does tie into crystals. Crystals as mirrors of the shift. And I like to look at it like this because first, I love crystals and I sell them and I love to work with them. But they also aren't just something pretty to look at. They're mirrors. They're magnifiers of the crystalline transformation. So if our DNA is changing, if our internal bodies are changing, think of it like millions of little crystals in your body. Crystals hold frequency, stable frequency. So you need to program your crystals as you change with what stable frequency you would like to hold. Our bodies are only going to become more and more crystalline. We will sync up with each other more easily, sync up with the universe more easily. That's why being around crystals just feels magnificent right now. It's like the crystals are stronger too. Their structures stabilize our new frequencies. Their structures magnify every thought and feeling we project. So imagine that inside of you, don't you want your thoughts and your feelings to be magnified, amplified, sent out to the collective in a good way? Good things, all good things. But that's also why we need to filter and stay clear, because crystals amplify. Some of them will take in frequency as well. So if our bodies are changing and then we think of a bunch of crystals in there that are also protection, that are absorbing negativity, this is where the transmutation of energy is important. Bringing it in, clearing it, recycling that energy for good to then mirror it out to the collective. And it's not supposed to be super simple where you are like, oh, I know exactly how to do that. It's all a process. The process being that we are tuning into our bodies, that we are embodying. Embodiment is my word of the rest of the year. For the rest of the year, we are focusing on embodiment. We are working towards this space of the embodiment of more light, the embodiment of truth, the embodiment of magnification of our true selves, our soul self. And as all of this is amplified, so is the new earth energy itself. So, leaving this episode, I want you to really understand that there is a shift happening. Whether you want to call it crystalline or you don't really vibe with that, that's fine. We've already said that words only help if you resonate with them. Words hold power because of the frequency that is with them. So we want to align our language in ways that feel in alignment with our own frequency, our own vibe, our own way of thinking. Regardless of the verbiage, our bodies are physically, energetically, and consciously restructuring. We are becoming lighter, clearer, more aligned. We may even notice that people start to look a bit different as these shifts happen. Are we physically changing, or is our perception and our senses picking up on an internal shift that we are seeing with our third eye and kind of filtering it onto that person? Either way, we need to be aware of the shift, and we need to be intentional with thought, with our moods, with blockages, with truths, so that we can create space, be open, create connection, with intention, with awareness, with community. I hope you also have been noticing your dreams. I know I've been pointing that out. Maybe a dream journal. Pay attention to synchronicities. And something I'm going to add, I want you to really practice gratitude. Maybe the morning works, maybe the evening works. At some point, find something that you can make ritual, a good time or a good process that you always practice gratitude. Maybe every night when you take off your makeup, ladies, you think of 3 things you're grateful for, or even just one thing that you're grateful for. Gentlemen, maybe you do this ritual on your way to work in the car. You get in the car, it's ritual. You turn it on, you sit there, you close your eyes, you give thanks for one thing, then you drive. And every day it just, when we do these things, it's like taking a pill or remembering to do those things. You remember to incorporate your ritual. Anchor yourself in your light. Anchoring your light within your body is embodiment. Authenticity, embodiment. Don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid of the shifts. Don't be afraid of the change. Don't be afraid of the flack. You are only going to get back better things if you are putting out truth, authenticity, love, light. Because the more rooted you are, the more crystalline you become. Remember, we are not waiting for some alien race to come here and change everything. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm open to everything. But this future new Earth, we're shaping it now. We are actively shaping it moment to moment. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, stay grounded, stay awake, stay rooted. Check out Whatnot to maybe follow Rooted Crystals. Get yourself some crystals. It's an auction website. If you haven't got it yet, you need to. It's so addictive. It's amazing. And I give some really good deals on crystals. Also, make sure to give thought to that Patreon joinage. Come join me because I love you. And our community is pretty freaking awesome. Love, love, love to you all. Till next time. Bye. Everything is connected. Energy, science, quantum physics.